Good morning, Campbell McCrary here, Amvest Capital in New York City. Welcome to the Amvest Capital Inc. live webinar with Reyna Silver. Reyna trades on the venture as RSLV and as RSNVF, as in Rio Sierra Nevada Victor Foxtrot on the OTCQX. Hope you'll enjoy today's program. It will also be available in replay mode. Feel free to send in your questions just using the question pane of the GoToWebinar control panel, or simply email them in, and we'll ask the questions in real time. Amvest, of course, is the New York-based specialist investment management corporate finance firm focused solely on the natural resources sector. Please note, this call is most definitely for informational purposes only. We're pleased to have with us today Jorge Ramiro Monroy, who's CEO of Reyna. And without any further ado, Jorge is going to turn the webcam, make you presenter, and why don't you warm us up? And I understand it's going to be a really cool video, and Dr. Pete McGaw will be visiting us via high quality MP4 for some of the program. But that's up to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Campbell, and good morning, everybody.
Cheers.
It's great to be with all of you. Thank you very much, Campbell and the Amvest team, for giving us the opportunity to be in touch with you and talk about Reyna Silver with you this morning. I just wanted to check, are you able to see my screen at the moment, Campbell?
Yeah,
full screen?
Really good. Yep.
Great. So yeah, as Campbell was saying in the introductory in these introductory words, I wanted to because we've done a number of these broadcasts with Amvest over the last few months, and I wanted to take the opportunity to give a small introduction of Reyna Silver for those of you who might be new to the company. And then what I wanted to do is in about I think it was in May, so 2 months ago, I had an opportunity to be at Guigui with Peter McGaw, which is the asset that we're drilling at the moment in Mexico. And typically in normal times before COVID, we would always make a site visit available to investors, analysts, and understanding the difficulties of traveling. We had scheduled one in 2020 that we kept postponing, and it obviously never happened. So what we did is we took a camera crew with us and made a virtual site visit of sorts, where we filmed video of Peter talking about the property, what are our objectives, and also taking us to each of the areas of interest within the project. So it's a video that's about 15 minutes long. So what I'll do is I'll do a quick presentation on the company, giving an overview of our activities and what our catalysts are. And then I was thinking we invite all of you to watch the virtual site visit of Guigui, and then I'll come back to give you some closing remarks, and then take any questions. So again, for those of you who might be new to the Reyna Silver story, I wanted to give you a quick background of how the company came to be. This is a company that I started. I'm originally from Mexico. I'm a mining entrepreneur. I was very interested in silver. And in 2017, when we started Reyna Silver as a private company, we were in a situation where some of you might remember it was very difficult to find money and interest from the capital markets for silver. Most of the silver mining companies were producing at break even, some years even at a loss. What you had was 6-7 years into the bear market, with companies high grading their deposits, no money for development, no money for exploration around the mines, let alone for greenfield or brownfield exploration. In that context, I was able to have a conversation with Peter McGaw and George Paspalas, who's the CEO of Mag Silver, and they had two assets, Guigui and Batopilas, which are the two assets that we are drilling right now. And they said to me, look, these assets, because we've been purely focused on Juanicipio. At the time, they were just starting to build Juanicipio. They were still looking at raising, what in the end turned out to be, I think, close to 100 millions extra to build the mine. So they were really not in a position to do any exploration on these projects. So we did a deal with MAG where they gave Guigui and Batopilas to us for shares, and then we were lucky enough to take the company public last year at a time where silver prices became more favorable and investor sentiment again was very favorable. So we put together a company that focuses on district scale exploration, very much following the philosophy of Peter McGaw, who, as many of you know, has been one of the most successful silver exploration geologists in the last 20 years or so. And we have, as part of the deal we did with MAG, Peter is with us as the chief technical advisor. He is overseeing a team of very talented geologists, the majority of whom have made a career working both for Peter and for MAG Silver. We have a very strong institutional support, and we have actually, and I apologize for this, I just realized that our treasury number is not correct here. Our cash balance is closer to 14 million Canadian, and we are in the process of doing in total 22,000 meters of drilling. So obviously that cash position is going down both month by month. To give you a quick view on our capital structure, we have 100 million shares outstanding, and we have good liquidity, approximately 300,000 shares per day over the last few months. To give you a quick snapshot on the company, as I mentioned to you, Guigui and Batopilas are the two assets that came from MAG Silver, and they're the two assets that we're drilling at the moment. At Guigui, we are doing 12,000 meters of drilling. We're just about done. I spoke to our geologists this morning. They're about 10,500 meters in. We added a second drill to the property, so I think in the next couple of weeks we'll be finally done with stage 1 of exploration at Guigui. We'll wait for the assays, and I think we should be in a position to release, if not 100% of the program, the vast majority of the assays in late August, early September. And then at Batopilas, very exciting. We started drilling last month. We've completed the first 1,000 meters there. I expect that we'll be drilling at about 1,500 meters per month with the one drill rig that we have. But I'm already in the process of looking into adding a second drill rig so we can, move at a rate of around 3,000 meters per month. And then, where the plan at Batopilas is, we'll continue to, because at Batopilas, a very different kind of drilling that we're doing at Guigui, where at Batopilas we are following the vein that we discovered during the vein extensions in the district that we found during our spring exploration campaign. For those of you who have been following our activities, what happened was in the spring of 2021, we published a press release where we describe how during the early part of the year, through trenching, channel samples, and soil samples, we had found multiple extensions to the more than 30 known veins in the district. We had some spectacular silver results from these both soil samples and trenches, as high as 42,000 grams per ton silver, as high as 21 grams per ton gold from surface. And what we're doing now is, over those 2 kilometers of vein in several different locations, we're drilling to a depth of about 150 meters initially over the 2 kilometers. So what we've discussed as management that we'll do is, as soon as we get the assays for the first 1,500 meters, we'll put out a press release with those results. I expect that will be also in early September, and then put a press release updating the next 1,000 to 1,500 meters or so every month for the rest of the year. So that's an overview of the two assets that we're drilling. We also have the Medicine Springs project, which is in Nevada. It's a project that we're currently exploring, just on the third month of work, doing our drill targets. What we've done there is we have crew taking doing an extensive sampling campaign. We're also doing a lidar survey. We're also, if you followed our press releases over the last few months, we acquired this project from a company called Northern Lights. It's a JV style of acquisition where we can earn up to 80%, and then they become our 20% JV partner. But when we acquired it from them, we quickly realized that this had the potential for being a district scale project. We've then made the acquired land to make it almost 4 times as big as it was originally. Peter and I have been at site twice, and during that time, Peter has realized that this really has all the hallmarks of a CRD target that could be district scale, and he's confident that we've put together a land package that covers the entire district. Just to describe it to you very briefly, it does have a former producer within the heart of the property that produced very high grade silver grades historically. It also has about 150 or so drilling that were done in the 80s, as well as extensive sampling that validate high silver both from samples as well as for drilling. What Peter considers 300 grams per ton silver as the threshold. That certainly was the grade that was at the mine when it was in production, as well as the samples from surface and the drilling. So we are in the process of identifying our targets. As soon as we do that, we'll apply for our drill permits. If they come before the snow comes, typically in early December, we still have an opportunity to drill this year. And if not, we'll do it in the spring of next year. And then at La Reyna, which is the fourth project in the company, this is a very exciting project as well. It's a former producer, not too far away from Guigui. In a part of a district that produced close to 100 million ounces of silver. The initial samples that we took when we were looking at the project, as well as the historic samples. If I can describe this project to you, it's a 2-kilometer epithermal vein where the Spanish mined it from top to about 60 meters. After 60 meters, the rock either became too hard or they hit the water table, so they couldn't go any deeper. But when you sample throughout the vein, you get very high grades, silver grades. Reported historic grades are, in excess of half a kilo of silver per ton. And in many ways, it's an easy project to drill. We're just negotiating our access permits. We're also looking at ways to consolidate the area a little bit more so that we have all the areas of interest. As soon as we have that, we do have a hope that we can still do at least a couple thousand meters of drilling this towards the end of this year. So that's just to give you a little bit of a snapshot of our activities. Again, just for those of you who might be new to the company, just to mention Peter Jones, who is the chairman of our company, is a former CEO of Hudbay Minerals, somebody who has been fundamental in bringing a strong corporate governance to the company. In terms of our technical team on the ground, I did mention briefly, but the two key people are Rene Ramirez, Ariel Navarro, and Manuel Moura. They have extensive experience working for Max Silver and Pan American Silver and Exelon. Been working as a team with Peter McGaw basically for their whole career. Rene Ramirez, who's a more senior exploration manager in our team, was with Peter McGaw for, he was a person who mapped Juanicipio, which is the main project that Max Silver is about to take into production, and Rene participated in the drilling of every single drill hole for Max Silver during those discovery days, as well as participated together with Peter on elements of the discovery at Exelon, and many other companies. Peter, I think everybody knows him quite well. I won't spend too much time talking about him, but obviously one of the most successful exploration geologists for silver. And we'll be hearing from Peter via video in a few seconds. To tell you very briefly about our assets, Guigui, this is the video that we're going to be seeing in a minute. But to tell a little bit about the history of the district, has produced 500 million ounces of silver, where the average grade of the silver was 310 grams per ton silver with 15% lead zinc combined. This is the largest carbonate replacement system in Mexico. And that's saying something, as you know, Mexico being the largest producer of silver in the world. That production has come, if you look at this slide, primarily from the two mines that are a mere 100 meters away from the edge of our property and a mere 100 meters from the edge of where we're drilling. In fact, the stopes and shafts from the mines to our east and west are, just a few hundred meters from where we have been drilling this season. What's unique about the system is that entire production profile that I described to you, those 500 million ounces of silver, came purely from the top part of the system that you see here in this slide in the geological model, the chimney element of the system. However, the skarn, which is typically the largest, what holds the largest amount of mineralization, has never been found for the whole district. And Peter Magga believes that that skarn lays within the area that we're drilling at the moment. Really, what we're doing is looking for, for a skarn that Peter believes has a potential for being at least as large as the 500 million ounce silver project that we have next door. The key things that we're looking for is this intrusive rock. This intrusive rock, once we find it, that we can understand the shape of the skarn, and then once we hit the skarn, look for the mineralized skarn. This is what the objective of stage 1 of drilling was. We also tested a few targets, sort of trying to chase the chimneys. If I can use a cartoon, it will be sort of this line that directs you into the system. So I'll leave it at that for Guigui. Maybe I'll just show you on the map here. Let me show you what it looks like on the drilling. Obviously, we have done geophysics that this we inherited from Max Silver. This is just one set of 6 different types of geophysics, which had some very strong anomalies that Max Silver never had an opportunity to drill. And the reason why Max Silver didn't drill this anomalies was they did not hold this part that protrudes. It's about 100 and close to 200 hectares to the north. I'm showing them here with the mouse, and that Max Silver had tried to negotiate, was not able to come to an agreement with the owner. As soon as I took this company this asset over as Reyna Silver, I started a negotiation with the owners. And soon after our IPO, the owner, I think, seeing that we had a successful IPO, I was able to do a deal with them. With this drill campaign, we've met the requirements for our minimum expenditure. So, we still have another year or so to decide about doing the final payment. But, we do have now the entire district. And I'll show you just here the drills that we have done. I didn't have a chance to update the slide as of this morning. I think this hole here has now been completed, and now we're just doing these last 2 holes that I'm showing here. The holes in the red are the holes from Max Silver. At the end of this program, of course, what we'll do is put together the entire information including the drilling that Max Silver did. So that's Guigui. And then maybe at this point, what I'll do is give you a very quick overview of what we've done at Batopilas, and then we'll watch the video of Guigui. Batopilas, to tell you very briefly about the story for those of you who are hearing about this for the first time. Incredibly unique project. This is a former producer that is the highest grade silver mine in the history of Mexico. And my understanding, one of the highest grade silver mines anywhere in the world. It produces staggering 350 million ounces of silver, where the average grade over their life of production was 1.5 kilos per ton. However, there were years of production where they could have maybe 2 or 3 years of production that was as high as 20 kilos per ton over a full year or two of production. You can see here a picture of what it looked like, a year's worth of production. It's again a very unique project. It's native silver, so it's silver that's for those of you who are not familiar, it's not crystallized in the rock. So the old timers just would mine it. It has thin veins along the walls of the mine. It's what we inherited from Max Silver is the old mine, which is a 2-kilometer tunnel, and the old timers would follow these thin veins along the walls, and then these veins all of a sudden open up into chunks of pure silver that could be pure native silver that could be as big as 4, 5, 6 meters in diameter. So very exciting project. Oh, I put here one of the pictures of one of the pieces of silver that are typical from this area. And then I think I put a picture, right here. These two are actually from our exploration campaign in February. These actually were extracted by us. I think this other one in the picture was, I think, from one of the exploration projects from Max Silver. So, as I said, Peter McGaw staked the old project in preparation for the Max Silver IPO. We have the original tunnel where the bulk of the 350 million ounces of silver came. But then Peter also put together the entire district, which includes 30 known veins, which fed into the main mine, mostly artisanal mines. And what we did over the spring is we looked for extensions to the known veins. We found multiple extensions, trenches with very encouraging silver grades, as I mentioned to you before. And then these green dots is where we're drilling. The purpose of these first 10,000 meters of drilling is to complement it from what Max Silver did. Max Silver did about 10,000 meters as well in different stages over the years. They had some very encouraging results. They did more drilling in the point of contact where the former producer stopped producing and had some very encouraging intersects, 3 kilos of silver over a couple of meters. And what we decided to do is, for this first stage of exploration, let's explore in the north part of the district, which has never been drilled. And so this whole area is a brand new area that we're discovering. And really, like I said, the purpose of this first stage of exploration is to establish the district scale potential of the project. As I mentioned, we've completed the first 1,000 meters of drilling. We have planned for 10,000 meters that we hope to accomplish by the end of the year. And the first set of drill intersects from Batopilas should be available in early September. So with that, Campbell, I was hoping you might be able to help us put the video. I believe, okay. And then maybe give people instructions on in case they have trouble viewing how they can see it.
Exactly. So going to play a video that's embedded in this program, and for some of you, you'll hear it, but then seemingly magically disappear. Just go down at the bottom of your screen where some of the icons are, and if you click on the sort of stylized blue circle flower, that's the GoToWebinar branded icon. Click on that. That should pull the video up. And those of you who dialed in, actually, you won't be able to, for audio, won't be able to hear anything, but a few people dial in these days. but shoot me a note during the show if you're having problems, and help you troubleshoot. And then, Jorge, if you don't see it, please let me know as well. So
Yes.
here we go. And voila.
My personal history with Guigui goes back to 1977. I think if you talk about when I started coming into Chihuahua and getting interested in the Sadiolalia mining district, which was the biggest carbonate replacement deposit in Mexico. And at that point, it was probably the biggest in the world. There's a couple of bigger ones that have been found since. Recognizing that it hadn't been very well studied on a district scale, and that there was a huge opportunity for understanding these important and underappreciated deposit types. So I was able to convince the two companies that were operating there at the time to allow me to do doctoral research there. I did that over the space of about 8 years, put all the pieces together, and came up with the model of exploration, or came up with a geologic model that said the mineralization came from down there, which turned out to be open ground, which is now where the Guigui concession is. And that's what kicked it off a long time ago. What we knew about Sadiolalia suggested that half of the district remained to be found. And that was the birth of the Guigui exploration model. And, we've pursued it since 1988 with a series of companies, BHP, Tech Resources, Advanced Projects, and then it was one of the 3 projects that we started MAG Silver with. And MAG's success at Municipio in the Fresnillo district led to this becoming a non-core asset for MAG. And Jorge Monroy had been working with MAG for several years with helping us with investor relations in the Orient. Jorge asked the CEO of the company if MAG had any projects that were no longer core, and so Reyna was basically founded on the back of acquiring Sadiolalia or Guigui project here and the Batopilas district from MAG Silver. So for the last 2.5 years, we've been putting the wheels back on the Guigui story with some more mapping, geochemical work, using the geophysics that MAG had generated but had never drilled, putting together a new story, some new ideas. And Renee and I have been working on this now for several years, and we're very fortunate to be drilling on the 8th hole of a 12,000 meter program, and we're on our way to look at that hole right now. Over the 300 plus years of continuous production, this district produced a little more than 50 million tons of ores with an average grade of a little better than 310 grams of silver, and about 8% lead, 7% zinc. There were places where the silver grades were much higher than the average grade, but the district has produced over 500 million ounces of silver, which puts it up into the top 10 or 15 silver producing districts anywhere in Mexico, and probably the top 40 in the world. good morning. We are at hole number 24 in the Guigui project. You can see the rig behind me. It's down around 300, 350 meters. We went through the volcanics into the limestone yesterday. So we got to be into the limestone. That's where the mineralization happens. So we're happy to be there. We got another 1,000 meters of limestone probably to drill, but we're checking out the results from yesterday's drilling. That's what we do every day. We come out to the rig, get the core, see what they've cut, and keep on going. We still have a lot of targets to drill. If you see that mountain behind me, we have some targets on the other side of that mountain that we want to drill. And so we're bringing in a second rig very shortly. We figured out where those holes are going to be, what their targets are. So that will allow us to complete the program faster and obviously more efficiently, because our geologists they'll be working on 2 holes instead of 1. So we're very happy to have the support to bring in another rig and sort of ramp up the speed at which we're exploring the system. So this is Susana Sola. She's one of the geologists working on the project, and it's her job today to get the core loaded in the truck with help and then take it into the core logging facility down in town. So say hello to the camera, Susana.
Hello, everyone.
Our property, the Guigui claim, extends from about almost 2 kilometers in that direction all the way across where we're standing, just below that limestone outcrop, which is the gray stuff you see down there, to the other side of that mountain that you see on the other side. So we're looking at about 6 kilometers east-west. Our target is probably a maximum of 1 kilometer in diameter, and you can see from here the altered volcanics. Those are the patches of cream-colored rocks. They start off dark brown, but they've been altered to this lighter color by the ore fluids. And so we're looking through that into the limestone underneath that hosts the mineralization. Welcome to the flux pits, the flux mines in the west camp of Santa Eulalia. This was limestone that was saturated with manganese oxides carrying silver. And this material was mined for flux for the smelter that used to be down in just below here in the city of Chihuahua. This is the high-grade part of what we call AMOM, which stands for argentiferous manganese oxide mineralization, and is actually transitional to alteration. So this stuff is highest grade near the mines, because right below us they mined mineralization for 200 years. And then as you work your way away, this stuff diminishes in its color and its content. So you can't see it probably in this film, but these walls are actually saturated black and sometimes a really pretty pink from this. But there's probably as much silver in this alteration around the mine as was ever taken out of the mine. So this was perfect material for smelter flux. This was all mined by hand with jackleg drills and wheelbarrows. And as you can see, they took about 7 or 8 million tons of this material out of here. So it's interesting from a historical perspective, and it's also interesting because this is the style of mineralization and alteration that we look for that guides us to high-grade sulfides, which are really what we're looking for. Enséñamelo, man. No. So Manuel has just broken off a chunk of what we call AMOM, this silver-bearing, manganese-rich limestone. You can see these beautiful dendritic patterns in here. The fluids were just soaking through these rocks like a blotter or a sponge, and you can really see the end of each one of those bands represents a front or a pulse of fluid moving through these rocks. And this material runs anywhere from 2 to about 20 ounces per ton silver, depending on how close you are to an ore body. It's a really important alteration style. You expect to see it high, and on the edges of the district, it disappears as you get deeper. So in the zones we're looking for, the more proximal, deeper skarn zones, we don't expect to see this. We do hope to see it, and you do actually on the surface in many of the areas where we're drilling. So we're looking from the road that runs between the west camp and the east camp at what's called the middle camp, which is this limestone window exposed, surrounded by these altered volcanics. And that area right there is called Zubiate, and that's where the two brothers were mining back in 1660 and 1661, when some Apaches came up and killed one of the brothers, and the other tried to make it for another year or so and finally gave up and went back to Spain. But that was some of the earliest formal mining in the district. And then Guigui claim starts just on the other side of that hill and runs past or two of those big high mountains that you can see in the background. And those mountains are what's called a caldera or a Yellowstone type supervolcano. And that sort of cuts the system off to the south. But all of this area from the other side of that mountain all the way to the other side of that ridge that you can see over there, that's the lateral extent of Guigui, and from just over this hill all the way to those mountains down there. So it's a lot of ground to work with. Entonces está arriba de la Jota Norte, entonces estamos arribita. La proyección de la falla. Sé en realidad con qué esfuerzo
de hecho ya están todos los cubos, ¿verdad?
Welcome to the town of Santa Eulalia, the miners' village that's been here since around 1700 or 1703 approximately. Behind me, the statue honoring the miners who have been working here off and on for more than 300 years. And this statue was put up sometime in the late 70s. He's had his hula hoop stolen a couple of times, but it sort of represents the spirit. This town, the miners talk about being mineros de corazón, which means miners at their heart. So this is what these people for many years lived to do.
give you control of the presentation again and
Great.
share
Well,
your screen.
that's it.
I think it worked.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, share my screen. Yeah. Great. So I think that's really pretty much the. I hope you didn't find the video too long, but I think it gives you a very nice overview and and understanding of what the property looks like, what our objectives are, and maybe just to summarize the key catalyst for the company at Guigui. We are just about to conclude our first 12,000 meters of drilling. We'll put our intention was to put 100% of the program out in early September. I think we're gonna not have 100% of the assays, but we will try to put as much as we can. We're hoping at least 70-80% of the assays by early September, and then whatever is left as soon as they come back from the labs, which I expect they'll be in our hands by late September, we'll put out the rest. Then at Batopilas, and then maybe to finish with Guigui, we already have a separate team working on the next set of targets. Our board has approved a total of 20,000 meters for 2021. So we want to make sure that we'll keep working. Out of the 14 million that we have in the bank, and out of the basically close to $18 million that have been raised, the first 12,000 meters of Guigui would have cost us about 2.5 million Canadian dollars. So it's really a small part of our budget. The next second stage, we want to make it at least 10,000 meters. We might make it bigger, but at least 10,000 meters, and we have a team that's already been working on the next targets, and so we have a good clarity on the next set of targets. So we won't stop. We'll keep that drilling going. And so for Guigui, in addition to the results of the first 12,000 meters, you can expect another press release later in the year with the next batch of results. And then at Batopilas, we announced 10,000 meters about a month ago. We've completed the first 1,000 meters or so. We are expect to be moving at about 1,500 meters per month with the one rig that we have now, but already looking at bringing a second drill rig to the property because we're drilling along a vein. We'll be releasing the results in 1,000 to 2,000 batches, so you can expect a steady flow of press release results from Batopilas as well throughout the fall. At Medicine Springs, we're advancing the property to get it to be drill ready. It's we have I think 4,000 hectares and multiple areas, including an area where the historic drilling took place, including an area that hosts a very high grade small historic producer, which is really what sparked the interest in the area, and we're looking for targets there. During our site visits and in the last 4 months, where we have a team of geologists working there, one thing that has come up are these giant jasperoids, which is in CRD systems, one of the big indications that there's something significant there. There's also skarn that in this case outcrops, which is also a very encouraging sign. High-grade silver from the drilling and historic samples. And then at La Reyna, we're advancing our permitting, and still I hope that we could do a little bit of drilling this year. So with that, happy to take any questions anybody might have.
Okay, got a few that people have sent in, and please send in more as they come to you, and then we'll asking our questions as well. Just can you sort of summarize how management is rating the priority and potential of the portfolio? Maybe got a little lost. There's a lot to talk
Absolutely.
about. But
Absolutely. So obviously, Guigui and Batopilas are the what we see as a more valuable projects just in terms of, they have so much more work than the other two projects. Guigui and Batopilas were put together as district scale projects, and each of them had, off the top of my head, I think $5 million of exploration by Mag Silver before we took them over. Obviously drilling, but also historic production. Batopilas, in a way, it's a very unique project. Like I said, it's native silver, and in that case we own the former producer, and there's a combination of following and chasing the veins that we all already know were in production. That's really what Mag Silver focused on. The approach we're taking is, okay, we already know that potential. We have a good idea of that. Let's look at extensions for the veins and see if we can establish the district scale potential. Medicine Springs, I would put it in the third category. It's identical geologically as Guigui, and in this case, the whole district is yet to be discovered. So obviously, much more earlier stage than Guigui, but very potential. And then La Reyna, also very potential. In many ways, the easiest project we have to drill, because what we're going to be doing is going over a 2-kilometer vein that appears to have been mined consistently for the 2 meters to a depth of, on average, of about 60 meters. So if we, the obvious thing to do here is to drill on intervals over the 2 kilometers. And in these epithermal systems in Mexico, if that half a kilo of silver that we can see at surface were to continue consistently for 200, 300, 400 meters, you would be able to build a resource there pretty quickly. Now, I will tell you, we have two more projects that we never really talk about. One of them is the Matilda project that, it's another, very early stage, but very potential CRD target, close to a project owned by Reyna Silver Corp, La Negra, that many of you might be familiar with. And we're working on a few pieces of land that we still have to consolidate there, but we do have a plan to do just a very modest budget, maybe $50,000 worth of satellite images, and then having a team collect samples and do some mapping. So that's basically the ranking that in terms of priority. But as you can see, a very unique portfolio of assets.
And can you translate those priorities into dollar amounts?
Into dollar amounts in terms of exploration?
Dollars and percentage of your budgets.
Yeah, so clearly Guigui and Batopilas. I mean, Guigui will be about, we have a budget, and I apologize, it's off the top of my head, but it's Guigui is about 4.5 million in drilling for 2021. Batopilas is about 2.2. Medicine Springs probably about $500,000 if we only do the pre-work for drilling. But if we do get to do some drilling in 2021, they'll be closer to $1 million, and then similar to La Reyna. So okay. very aggressive approach to budget for drilling. We would still with that budget, we would still have about $6 million left in the bank. So we do have the possibility, after we release the results in Guigui, we do have the possibility to do even more meters if we can find good enough volume of targets, and also as you know now around the world, drill rig availability is an issue. But
so our assay labs, how many assay labs
in Mexico?
Assay labs in Mexico. Assay lab to use, cheapest, closest, best reputation.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch your question, Campbell. Sorry.
So yes. So how many assay labs do you have to choose from? How do you choose them? What's the cheapest, or in general, cheapest, closest, best reputation?
Yeah, I know, and it's a great question, Campbell, and I just want to clarify one thing that you said. In Mexico, as you know, we were quite delayed at the beginning of the drill campaign because the assays were just really taking a long time to come. I think in January, February, March in Mexico there was a big break of COVID, and on top of it, just a massive amount of assays been saved by companies. But the labs, at least in the areas we operate in Mexico, have corrected that situation, and we're now receiving assays as quick, sometimes as 3 weeks, which is pretty phenomenal. They go to the local lab, and at Medicine Springs, at least for the samples that we're sending, we're also getting them in a good amount of time. So, at least in Chihuahua where we're operating, thankfully that's no longer an issue, and that also has allowed us to be moving a lot faster in our drilling, and we don't see that changing this year.
Okay. Adam?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Great video, Jorge. Really, always great to see Peter and sort of feel like you're getting out in the field with him.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you liked it. Hope the length wasn't too long.
No, it was great. Question on the Guigui drilling so far. How has I don't think you guys have released any assays or anything, but how is the stratigraphy coming out versus the model?
I'm not sure that's something that I will be the best person to explain. And I think that that'd be a question that we'll have to get Peter, because I don't think I will be able to explain this eloquently enough. But if it's okay with you, maybe what I can do is get this answer from Peter, and then maybe find a way to get it to out to, maybe when you send the replay of the video, maybe we can send a note on that.
Of course. Another question regarding the video. When Peter was showing the old mining of the silver
Yes.
manganese oxide ore that was used for smelter flux, is there a lot of that material left on the surface in the order of?
Yeah.
First of all, was that old mine, was that on your ground?
Yeah, that's on our ground. Yeah, absolutely. That's on our ground, and yeah, there's a lot of material at surface. Now, the tricky thing in the whole district for surface samples that we have to be very careful with is that, because we're right there next to the oil producers, but the oil producers were also centers where people brought their ore from all over the district. So you have to be really careful, because they were hauling it sometimes in by donkeys, sometimes by small rails, in more modern times, but horse carriages, and then obviously trucks. So there's a lot of stuff that just fell on the ground. So it's easy to find this amazing high grade sample, and then you just have to be really careful to make sure that it's not something that's came from other parts. So really the way to avoid that is doing a little bit of trenching, and then also I think it's just one of those situations where it's so hard to explain when even once you watch the video. I think the one thing we didn't do, and perhaps because I don't know about the legalities about putting the drone on top of the two mines next to us, but we're really right. There's two massive mines within 100 meters of where we're drilling, and those mines. If I can show you maybe on the, maybe I'll just describe it to you. Those mines, just to give you a sense, there's a San Antonio mine to our east. It goes from about 100 meters to about 1.5 kilometers in depth. There's about 20 levels to it, and these chimneys, they can be as wide as 60 meters of just solid mineralization, 60 meters in length, and then they can be 20, 30 meters in depth, and it's just solid silver and zinc mineralization. So what they did is they put shafts and then go laterally, but that system is goes like right to the edge of our property. Mag Silver already in their drilling they intersected those chimneys into our property. On the other side, also we did some drilling to follow the chimneys from the producing mine to our west. So maybe one important message that I leave you with is the geological model, which is there's so many of these CRDs in North America, obviously starting in Mexico all the way to Arizona, and the fact that those chimneys in a CRD context always lead to the skarn, and then that skarn is yet to be found in the district. And there's numerous signs that point towards the source of that system in our place. Of course, along the way, if we don't find the skarn right away, the possibility of finding more of this chimney system, which there's already indications from the drilling from Mag Silver, that those chimneys can continue. You can understand any material that we find is going to be very valuable given the immense infrastructure that already exists in the district.
Yeah, is there the potential, Jorge, to find multi-million tons of this superficial manganese silver material that and is the only way to really economically exploit that material to sell it to a smelter for flux?
Oh, that's a really good question, and I have actually never asked Peter about this, and so I'm going to owe you that answer as well, and I apologize. It's certainly not one of the primary objectives of our drilling. I do understand that is.
You never know what you're going to find, Jorge.
Say that again.
You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah, no, I mean certainly we really hear the one possibility that we have, that's very real for us would be to find a continuation of the chimneys into our property, and that's also a great result, because I don't think there's 500 million ounces of that material, but there certainly could be a very decent tonnage and a very high grade. But truly the big prize here is if we can find the source of the mineralization for the skarn, because like I mentioned before, in this CRD systems in North America, typically the skarn is what holds the biggest source of mineralization. If the chimneys produce 500 million ounces, we're really looking for something significant here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And has it crossed your mind to potentially ring fence off where the extensions are of the known chimneys to JV those much in the same way that MAG is JVing Batopilas with Fresnillo?
Yeah, so that was very much in the mind of the people from whom we took these options. I don't think because of 43-101, I don't think I'm able to mention numbers, but certainly they had some back of the envelope numbers of material that they can imminently process with a smelter. And Peter was very clear with me. Said, look, that's interesting, but that's not really what he really is looking here for something significant that would be the next big silver mine in Mexico. But yeah, the answer is absolutely that possibility of if you can imagine, let's say that we find a chimney and it's right next to where the producers are. It's all you have to do is you don't even have to bring the material outside. You just deliver it to that underground. That's really what's happened. That's really what's happening with because the mine, the San Antonio mine is owned by Grupo Mexico. That's the one to our east, and then to the west there's a small Australian group that was mining it. They stopped now, and then another group took it, so they're still mining it. And my understanding is, they don't even take the material to surface. They go from their area, and Grupo Mexico take the tunnel and picks it up from there underground, and then takes it to the processing facility without going to surface. So certainly that's something that down the road we could do. But just to be really clear, that's really not the strategy or the that we're following.
If you could find significant tonnage of that surface silver manganese ore, is that something that you would then maybe consider having somebody else contract mine and deliver offsite to somebody else as an interesting source of future revenue?
Yeah, we would consider it, but I'll tell you that typically the in my experience, those operations don't necessarily are super easy to get started, and as long as it's not a distraction to the main purpose of the company, we would certainly consider it. I'm very commercially minded, but just to also mindful of capital markets. I think what really moves the needle when you have a public company, really you're looking to create a deposit that is as big as possible, so that you can as big as possible and as high grade as possible, so that you can absorb capital as efficiently as possible as well. So we set up the company with that philosophy. But if there's an opportunistic opportunity, if there's an opportunity that we can take advantage of along the way, of course we would consider it. I think easier with material that would be so close to the mines. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I didn't mention. Grupo Mexico had to shut down their mine a few months ago because they have a flooding event, which my understanding is they're trying to fix. And once they fix it, they'll be able to restart the mine. But obviously, they're not mining, but the whole facility is there. So if we find something that was, let's say even 2-3 million tons of ore that were so close to their stopes that they could just take it, I think that would be something they would be quite interested in. But also, to be clear, I haven't discussed that with them at all. I'm just sort of from what I hear from the locals.
Yeah, following on from a question that Campbell asked, obviously you have a fairly large number of projects here. So as you just mentioned, the idea of really focusing on sort of a big discovery. What's the plan to sort of reconcile that philosophy with the relatively large number of properties that you guys are working on?
Yeah. No, that's a great question.
I know each of them is like your own child, so it's not like you can just easily give them away. But what's the plan?
Yeah. No, thank you for asking that, because that's a great question. When we started the company, we thought we would only silver was at $12, and it was such a struggle to raise every penny at that time. It wasn't easy the way that it is now. It's relatively so much interest in silver. So we were only going to focus on Guigui. When we went public at a time where silver went to 30, the market became more receptive. So we were able to raise more money than we had anticipated originally, which made it possible for us to explore both Guigui and Batopilas, which already had a very strong base, and we feel comfortable that we could deploy that capital. When silver continued to rise, as management, we saw the opportunity to the two other projects that we acquired was on options that didn't require any upfront payments. Most of the payments are front loaded, and we wanted to give our shareholders maximum optionality to silver prices, because especially at the time when we acquired those projects and we were silver as high as 30, a lot of people with the feeling that silver could get to $50. And if that were to happen, the one thing I'll tell you, Adam, it's very difficult to put a district scale project these days, almost impossible. Whether it's in Mexico or in Nevada, the fact that we have 5 projects that are district scale in the portfolio. And then the second point that I will tell you, Adam, is the part of getting a project drill ready is what it requires is exactly the kind of expertise that Peter and our other technical advisors like Doug Kerwin and our Mexican team have made a very strong career on. and it's not a kind of work that's very capital intensive. You know, you can do it with as little as $250,000. You can generate targets, because a lot of these projects, even though they haven't had modern day exploration, especially the ones in Mexico, are in a context where there's numerous old workings. In many cases, can be up to a dozen old historic Spanish mines. So coming up with the targets is relatively easy. By doing that, you create an immense amount of value. If silver, goes to higher than $40-50, some people believe, who knows, that would put us in a position where I think we might be able to drill multiple projects and build this into a bigger company. And then if we remain the way we are now for a few years, it allows us to explore comfortably Guigui and Batopilas on our own. And of course, for the rest of the projects, having gotten them drill ready, I am very proactively reaching out to all the majors and mid-tiers and other junior mining companies for possibilities. Really, more than anything, inviting them to sign NDAs and doing site visits with views that down the line we could have a JV partner who spends the money, and then we just keep a passive carried interest.
So you're looking to replicate to some extent the MAG model from that perspective as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And of course, if these if we came to the point where one of these projects becomes attractive for a mid-tier, we'll also consider doing some sort of JV. But no, obviously at the time this is way too early. Mm-hmm. But the one thing we are keeping in mind, because for all our shareholders, is just thinking down the line what the exit will be, and acknowledging that it takes a while for these mid-tiers to get comfortable with the project. They want to be following it. So what I have done is been very proactive in inviting the mid-tiers, the majors, and some of the Mexican companies to look at our data room, to do site visits. We have signed a number of NDAs, not necessarily with intention of anything immediate, but really just for the benefit of them having our project in our radar for the future.
Very good. Let me pass it back to Campbell for any further questions.
You know what? There are quite a few more, but we're kind of reached our hour here. So apologies for those that didn't get to. I'll send those questions, and people ask them to Jorge, and he can shoot your responses. But
yeah, can you give them an email?
Yeah. More than enough robust content here to keep everyone thinking about Reyna for a while. So with that, thank you for joining, and please share your feedback on the way out. And with pleasure, this will be available at amvestcapital.com/replays. With that, back to you to close it.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate Campbell and the whole Amvest team to give us the opportunity to present. And feel free to send me any questions you might have. And then maybe really quick thing that I'll say before we leave is, we have a great book called the Silver Magnet, which is a book that's written about the Batopilas mine. It's a great read. It's how an American entrepreneur set Batopilas up as a producing mine and a listed company in the New York Stock Exchange in the late 1800s. If anybody wants a copy, especially if you live in North America, it's quite easy for me to send you a copy from Mexico. My email is jorge@reynasilver.com, or write at info@reynasilver.com. That forwards to my address, and I will be delighted to send you a copy.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.